Welcome back, everybody, to the Padernacht Podcast. Today's guest is someone who really gets it. He's a Bronx guy through and through. He's built a real estate career right here in our backyard, and he understands what it actually takes to survive and win in this borough. I'm joined by Vincent Buccieri from Today Realty, and what makes today fun is that we've got a bunch of overlap. Bronx real estate, being alumni of Fordham Prep School, a love for food, especially Arthur Avenue, and of course the New York Yankees. But beyond all that, Vincent represents something that I respect dearly, that entrepreneurial spirit, the grind, the relationships, the reputation that you have to take and you have to make it in the Bronx today. Vinny, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here, my friend. Thank you. My first podcast.
I guess I did not get the memo about the dress code.
That's right.
While I truly appreciate you getting dressed up for the episode, you didn't dress like this for the episode, did you?
No, it's either a 007 look or I could be a magician, right? Actually, I'm off to the HCAR inaugural event for Tied to Success.
Okay.
Celebrating my very good friend, Mr. Ray Hollingsworth-Fallew, good friend of mine, and also a Fordham Prep graduate. So we're celebrating our new president, right?
Nice,
so,
nice.
Thank you.
That is the president of the Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors.
That is correct.
For people who don't know what HCAR is.
Yes.
Pretty big role.
An incredible role. I played that role for our chapter in the Bronx for close to 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. Had some great success with that. Even though it was during the pandemic, we made certainly some positive strides during that time. Mm-hmm. And very excited for Ray. Ray's taking a very big position with the HCAR, with the Hudson Gateway Realty Group, and I think he's going to do a great job.
That's good. I'm really looking forward to getting a new set of eyes and somebody who's really going to advocate, for the Bronx.
I do, and congratulations to Ray. I can't wait to see you tonight.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting him at some point.
Yes.
Give me the quick version. Where in the Bronx are you from, and where did you get the hustle spirit from?
So originally grew up in the Pelham Parkway section of the Bronx. Parents both from Arthur Avenue, which is the Little Italy part of the Bronx. My dad was from Harlem, actually, and met my mother teaching school, believe it or not, on Arthur Avenue. Mom was from Beaumont Avenue, and my godmother actually introduced my mom and dad, and they moved to the suburbs. So they moved from Arthur Avenue to Pelham Parkway, and that's where I was born. So born and raised in Pelham Parkway, Morris Park area, and family grew. My whole family was from the area, and the spirit came from my dad. Everything comes from my dad. So and I get emotional about it because he really was very hardworking guy. Born and raised on close to Pleasant Avenue on Hunt Third, and was a teacher. Worked as a travel agent, and then got into the real estate business very quickly. Was a builder, and I remember going on building sites when he was building houses at 7, 8 years old with a shovel, and just learning the grassroots of every project. And that's where I think the hard work came from. Never really saw him much because he was always working, but when he was around, he would take me along with him, and it was actually a very interesting growing up, And I salute him for that.
What was your childhood like? Because I feel like a lot of people get the impression of you hear an Italian guy from the Bronx and they think immediately that everything is like a Bronx tale.
No, it certainly was actually the opposite. I was into sports, actually. I was a baseball player and a basketball player. And I think that's where I learned all about competition and made a lot of friends along the way. Started over at Fordham Prep, played ball there for 4 years, played basketball there, and had friends from other high schools. Have great friends from Iona Prep, Salesian and Stepanek, and remained friends with them. And as we grew older, I guess we may have gone a wrong way. We've gotten married and moved on, but we've always kept very close. And I think that as we get older, we've become a lot closer. And I respect the friendships that I've kept along the way. And I have to tell you, that's my competitive edge, working and coaching. I actually coached Fordham Prep for many years. I coached baseball and put my heart and soul into working with the young freshmen and sophomores and trying to bring the best out of them, And that was a big joy for me.
I feel like a lot of people when they hear that, like, because I'm a Fordham Prep grad as well, which I had alluded to in my intro, that we both are from that alma mater. But I feel like a lot of people, when I tell them I went to Fordham Prep, they're like, "Oh, you went to the bougie school," right? And I'm just, and
I got that too.
yeah, but and so in the moment, it's interesting about my experience at Fordham Prep was I didn't have a choice, right? I'm in 8th grade. I'm 11, 12 years old. My mom and dad were just like, "You're going to Fordham."
That's right.
My 2 older brothers had both gone there, and my father, who was born and raised in the Bronx, Sedgwick Avenue, said, "Listen, whatever you do, this is the high school you're going to because it is the best school in the Bronx. I don't care what I got to pay for it.
Yes.
You're going to go there to get that education and to meet different people." What type of experience did you have at Fordham?
On the contrary, my dad wanted me to go to actually wanted me to go to Cardinal Spellman.
Really?
Yeah. I begged my dad to go to Fordham Prep. I just felt that I just needed that opportunity. After spending a summer and also spending time there, I knew that was the right fit for me. There was less distractions. I just felt the programs were for me. And my dad just gave me an ultimatum. He said, "Look, you get anything less than a B, I'm taking you out." And luckily, I graduated well. And it was just absolutely one of the best experiences. And kudos to Fordham Prep. I promise you, I love everything about it. But yeah, I felt the same way. Bougie school. Oh, you're going to bougie school, and you know, it's suit tie in the morning. I could probably go to school there right now. But yeah, just a great experience. So,
how did you feel? Because one of the reasons why I did not want to go to Fordham Prep was because it's an all-boys school.
Yeah.
But I felt like after being out of it, like it helped me keep my focus a lot more. Like I was not the best student at Fordham Prep because I didn't want to go there, and I'm the type of person that doesn't do things they don't want to do.
Yeah.
So I got by. I got the C's and occasional B's.
Sure.
But I never really gave it my all until senior year. My mom was like, "Listen, you've never gotten me a bumper sticker in 4 years. You know, I'm the proud parent of an honor student."
Yes.
My older brother, Dan, every single year, he'd come home with the bumper sticker. "You never got me a bumper sticker." I said, "Ma, you want a bumper sticker? I'll get you a bumper sticker, no problem." I put my, head in the books, and I ended up getting her the bumper sticker. It was the one and only bumper sticker she got from me.
Legacy.
Yeah,
That's great.
But the fact that it was an all-boys school allowed me to focus more, and I don't know if I would have been able to focus if there was women or girls at the school.
And that's how I felt. That's why I thought that was just the best fit for me, both academically and with sports. So I just felt even just the campus alone was just ultra focused. And I did actually end up going to Fordham University.
Oh, that was going to be my next question.
So just to segue into that, I spent 8 years on that campus. And it was just my dad was a graduate, my cousin Rochelle was a graduate. My uncles were graduates, my sister as well. So we spent quite a bit of time on campus, and I still revisit. It's just part of me. So
you have siblings?
I do. I have a sister, Vanessa, who I love dearly, and my brother-in-law Paul. They were living in Las Vegas. They moved to a small little place called Idaho recently. And my goddaughter is off in Nashville right now. She's at Belmont College.
Good for her.
I'm praying for her, and I hope she does well.
So your sister is older sibling or younger sibling?
Younger sister.
Younger sibling, okay.
Very successful physical therapist. She worked for Burke Medical up in White Plains for many years.
Very familiar with it.
And now she takes care of us. So the truth is she is certainly very smart and knows the human body very well.
Were you a protective older brother growing up?
Oh, there was no doubt. There was no doubt. She, even if she didn't know it, Vanessa, yeah, I had eyes and made sure. But I left enough leash for her to go out and be friends. But I always kept a good eye out for her. So she may not know it, but I had my eyes on her.
I feel like so I'm the youngest of 3. So I was always the one that my brothers were doing those things behind the scenes for me that I didn't even know. But I always wondered, what the pressure was like for my brothers, just to be like always just making sure that Steven's okay, or for my brother Michael to look after Daniel and Steven in certain situations.
We grew up at a different time. So you got to remember, we had we had no source of, everything was a payphone, right? So you essentially, there were no cell phones at all. So you couldn't track anyone. You couldn't, so you had to call people to get people to check on people and say, What time is she getting home? Are you in the same area? Really? Or just pray that everything was at night. You know, it was a different time, really, essentially.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I remember having to, so first it was beepers.
Yes.
Right? So you'd beep somebody,
Yes.
and then you'd have to wait by the payphone for them to call you back.
Oh, absolutely.
And if somebody came over to try to use the payphone, wait, I'm waiting for a call.
Yeah.
You have to try to convince somebody in the Bronx. You're like, yo, wait, you can't use that payphone. I'm waiting for a call. What are you
So there is a trick, and if you're old enough, you'll understand. But we would do collect calls, and I remember making collect calls, and we would kind of ask for a collect call.
Yeah.
And then when that person would pick up to accept the collect call, you would yell across the phone and go, "Meet me somewhere at 4 o'clock."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you would hang up.
Yeah.
So that
because
was
the billing goes to them.
Or they would have to accept. But before they would accept, you could hear their name and voice and say, "Oh, guess what? I'll meet you at 8 o'clock, Central Avenue. Goodbye," and then hang up.
And so it's interesting, right? Like now there's group chats and there's group messages. But for me growing up, it was like, all right, cool. We're going to meet at the park tomorrow morning, 9:30.
That's
And
correct.
everybody just showed up.
That's right.
And my mom and dad were like, okay, I'd go out at 9:30 and it would be like, all right, make sure you come back for lunch.
Yes.
In the summertime, right?
Yes.
So I come back for lunch and then it's like, all right, cool. Go out, be home before the streetlights get on.
Yes.
And-
Growing up in the 70s and 80s, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially. Absolutely. The best childhood I ever had.
And you would go out all day and you would find the experiences. Like I'd take my bike out, me and 6 or 7 or whatever, a bunch of guys. We'd go out and we'd ride bikes all over the place. No idea where we were going. No maps, no GPS, nothing.
Nothing. Until the street light came on and it was time to go home.
Yeah.
Or your neighbor would yell out, "Your mother's looking for you."
Yes.
And that's the truth.
It's interesting you bring that up because another thing that I noticed and that I really appreciated about the Bronx was that sense of community. Having the neighbors look out for you, right?
Absolutely.
Like, first of all, one of the standards that my parents always set for me was respect your elders. So if like Miss Johnson over in whatever, the building next door needed help with her groceries, you didn't help Miss Johnson? Like,
Absolutely.
and also if they told you something, it was like you had to respect it. Now I feel like that is lost in society a bit, where people don't have that sense of community.
Not at all. My first job, very young age, and this goes back to Fordham Prep. You know, we would have a lot of snow days at Fordham Prep.
Oh yeah.
So it was very advantageous and entrepreneurial for us to go out and shovel snow for all your neighbors.
Yep.
So at $5 a house, you know, if you shoveled 20 houses, 20 hot cocos, or 20 hot chocolates, and you went to school on Monday or Tuesday and you had, you know, $50 in your pocket, but that was a sense of community, right? You took care of it. Now you can't find anyone to shovel your snow in front of the house.
No, not at all. And you don't find the people that go out and look for that opportunity. I'm telling you, I did shoveling snow. I did a newspaper route.
Yes.
I did what else did we do? I did so many like odd jobs as a kid just because I wanted to make some money.
Of course, hustle.
Yeah.
That was the hustle. And I think that's where it really comes from. You know, just that constant thought process of you know, gaining a little bit of, you know, experience and I don't know what you want to call it, but entrepreneurship, I guess, right?
That spirit is only in a select few.
Yeah.
Some people are happy, and I have nothing bad to say about anybody that just wants to go, clock in, go home, take care of their family.
That's right.
No problem with that.
Correct.
It's just not me.
Right.
And one of the things that I learned at Fordham Prep, that this was like kind of like an underlying sort of theme, was do what lights your soul up and be an individual.
Right.
And that sort of really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, you hear it for 4 years,
Right.
be a man for others.
Yes.
And have that sense of giving back to the community, giving back to other people.
You said it right. Absolutely.
That right there, like I couldn't have gotten that at Spelman or Mountain. Not to, you know, I have not to talk bad about it, but it was just a different sort of vibe.
I understand. You're right. And I think at the end of the day, I didn't want to graduate Fordham at the end. And not to just keep going on with this, but I did not want to graduate high school. That's how much I loved the school. And Fordham University was fantastic, but for some reason it wasn't the same vibe that I had at the prep, you know. And they did a great job in preparing us for life.
Yeah.
Not just for the college experience, but it's a preparation for life. And my dad one of my dad's famous lines in Latin was "Non scole sed vitae discimus." I can't believe I remember. And it's not for school, but for life. So if you could, you know, endure, you know, and all your experiences in life, it's not about, you know, that. It's not about just schooling. It's for what you pursue in your life and how you maintain your life. So
another thing that I really appreciated about the prep, which I did not at the moment, was the path along your spirituality. And the way the Jesuits go about you finding your path, it's not the traditional way of finding your way to Christ. It is finding the path that works for you, whether it be unconventional or not, but
Absolutely.
just putting God first and finding your way to him.
Yes. And it's an interesting path because we all fall, right? We all fall.
Of course.
But I think it just resonates within you. And I've come and gone. I mean, I'm the first to tell, and I'll be as transparent as possible. And sometimes you could just find out much more later in your life and realize, and that can't, the fire is never really out,
Never.
right? So I think one of the blessings for all of us, or for those that is just having that opportunity of knowing that it's there, and then just in small steps growing with it, right?
Yep.
And that's all what it's about. You can't just jump in 10 feet of pool. Get your feet wet a little bit.
Yep.
And I think that's the key, right? So if we have fallen, you have plenty of time to, sort of reconcile and spend some time thinking about it. And I think that's where our strengths come from. And I think it's the basis of everything. And I really do. And that's where your strengths come from, being thankful and pursuing the good things in life and being transparent. And I think that just getting into business, it's the same category.
Yep.
And as long as that sort of works its way out, it balances its way out, I think that's how you become very successful.
When did you know that real estate was your lane?
It was never my lane. So when I say, excuse me, I'll take that back. I won't say it was never my lane. I was pursuing public relations and communications coming out of college. So I worked in a record company for many years as an intern, and I experienced life in the Manhattan very, very early.
In the corporate world.
Corporate world, very, very true.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for me. For those that don't know, I spent time discerning about life, and I literally moved to Europe for over a year.
Really?
I lived in Europe. It was the most incredible backpacking experience of my life. I journaled, and there were no cell phones. I lived with a map and like a Yahtzee board, and I'd spin with my friend, and we go, what country are we going to go to next?
Wow.
And I got the opportunity of going to about 30 countries and visited some of the poorest countries in the world and just reflected on how amazing just being in the United States is and how blessed we are and our freedoms and what we have, And when I got home, I literally remember my mom and dad picking me up, and I literally kissed the floor. And my mother looked at me like, what are you doing? And I said, you have no idea what I saw in my life. Like just how people live and how blessed and incredible this country is. And that was a game changer for me. And I think worldly travel is important. And I think understanding different cultures and seeing how different cultures live helped me gain confidence in what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to work for myself. I didn't want to work corporately, but I knew I wanted to work for myself. And around that time, my father was running a very successful real estate company, and his partner passed away. And my father was in just a very bad position by himself. And I saw what my dad was going through at the time, and I gave up everything. I literally gave it up. And I'm going to share this with you. I went to a priest, and I remember driving to a function with him, and I had to entrust him and say, look, I have to make one of the biggest decisions of my life. And he said, I'll never forget, he said, look, if you decide to give up your career and work for your dad, that's something that you can't change. You would probably crush him if you were to say no. You'd have to, it's like a full commitment. It's like almost like a marriage.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I went on retreat, and I remember digging deep as possible. I was very early in my age. I worked for him when I was younger, and I got my license, and I'm with him 38 years.
Was he your broker?
He was my broker and my only broker.
Yeah.
And the most incredible, I would say the most incredible person to work for. He was just, the perfect teacher. The mentor is what I was looking for.
Yep.
And taught me everything. He taught about life. He taught about business. And, my dad's like the salt of the earth, He's incredible. And I just learned so much from him and the people he worked with and the transparency he had with a lot of business partners.
Yep.
And I think when you're exposed to that and you're experienced with that, it comes a long way.
Yep.
And I start doing things like my father. I'm finding like I'm doing exactly the same things my father would have done. So just a great choice. I would never look back. I love what I do. I love my clients. I love the attorneys I work with. And I just certainly love the mortgage guys and guys like you that we collaborate with. And I wouldn't change it for the world. So, and I love bringing in interns.
Yeah.
The few interns I've had work for me, they often went to become attorneys. Some came to work for hedge funds. And you just got to find your passion.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to what makes you so very happy and doesn't feel like work, right? I mean, it is a lot of work what we do, but I think when you're passionate about something, and it sounds cliche, but it's the best feeling in the world.
I wonder if you have this same experience. So my father got me into real estate.
And my dad knows your dad, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So my father, when he passed, we still have his black book. And, you know, me and my brothers,
love it.
I believe my oldest brother, Michael, has the black book. But we go through, because before there wasn't cell phones where you stored numbers, right?
That's right.
The black book is where you had
the Rolodex.
That's his business.
That's everything.
We still go back to the black book in certain cases. And some of the people are around, some of the people aren't. We find ourselves dealing with some of the kids of my dad's business partners or associates or whatever the case may be. But that legacy is something that is very difficult to describe, but it's so impactful.
Yes.
As a kid, I've told this story before, but my dad would make me literally come home, and before I went out to play in the park, I'd have to sit in the office, and I'd be sitting there in the office for 25 minutes, an hour, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here, Dad? I want to go out and play. And he's like, don't worry, one day you'll understand. And I didn't know what he was talking on the phone, he was doing this, he was doing that, he was interacting with people. And the same way that you just said that you find yourself doing things that your father did, my father told me before he passed, he said, as you get older, you will find more and more of my qualities in you, and lean into all of the good things that you find, and try to avoid any of the mistakes that I've made and or the bad qualities.
Absolutely. And I think and my dad shares the same sort of motto and ideas, because he always said to me, Vincent, make all of your mistakes at a very young age, because when you make those mistakes, you're sort of respected as a young child or a young adult, and it's expected, right? It's certainly expected. And I had a lot of jobs growing up, waiters and DJ. I mean, I was a disc jockey for many years, and you make a lot of mistakes, so you sort of get away with it.
Yep.
You kind of get away with making those mistakes. You can't get away with those mistakes when you're 55 years old,
tough to
right?
bounce back.
Right. It's a tough bounce. But at the end of the day, it made a lot of sense. Because he just said, get the most experience you possibly can and learn, and surround yourself with people that are experienced or in that fact, in the working world, and just learn. Learn as much as you can. And that's so important,
What was one lesson that you learned early on in the real estate business that impacts how you move today?
Oh, boy. So there's so many. The one that I would say that sticks out the most is my dad just built all of his businesses on integrity, right? So that seems to be like the algorithm of just like as a life lesson and as a business lesson. Transparency is so parallel to that, like the integrity. Having transparency is the most important, because working on our industry, working with buyers and sellers, working with developers, working with mortgage, there's nothing more important to be completely transparent. You could leave a meeting and you feel good about yourself. Whether the meeting was meaningful or not, or just, unfortunately, some people just seem to walk away, you give it your best. You try to be as honest as you can, right? And I think at the end of the day, you feel good, right? And if it's meant to be, then it's certainly meant to be. And that's how we've built a non-franchisable business. We are a family-owned and operated company for going to be 69
God
years.
Bless. Yep.
So there's something to it, and I just think your way of teaching other agents is simply a family, and I think that's what he rooted us, and I think I just keep reseeding that, you know, so that's so important.
Do you find that that transparency angle shows up in your business more often than not?
It's the most important, if not the most. I would say it's so successful for us. I get calls all the time from agents working for other companies call me. And, you know, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm the first one to walk them through it. Should I do this? Should I do that? Is this wrong? Should I get a second opinion? Or did I do something wrong? And I'll spend 20 minutes or so listening to them and trying to guide them into the right direction of what they may have done wrong and or what they are actually doing right.
Yeah.
So, and I do that even for agents. And, you know, you try to teach as much as you can. A lot of rules have been changing.
Yes.
I know, and there's a lot of laws. We won't get into it, but there's a lot of changing rules going on. And, you know, we acclimate to that. We certainly do our best to listen to everything in mediation and get a good positive result. Nothing is successful out of something disgruntled. You got to find a happy place in anything, really.
For sure.
So it could be anything. It could be it could be a mother and father with their kids. It could be a landlord and a tenant. There's got to be a fine route to a happy place, and that's what I simply look for. You know.
What are you most proud of when it comes to your company and what you've built?
I am so proud of the fact, and I don't want to sound like Snoop Dogg because of me, and I don't mean to joke about it, but I'm so proud that I actually really weathered it, right? There was so many opportunities to be bought out. There was so many opportunities of me just the quick exit, you know, what we went through with the pandemic, what we went through in 2008. You know, was I going to go back to law school? Because that was my dream of becoming an attorney. I wanted to be an attorney. And I had an exit plan, or maybe going to the music industry or fine-tuning that. I'm so proud of the people that work for me. We have agents and brokers that have been with us for 30, 40, 50 years, okay? And I'm just proud to be a part of that. And I'm glad I didn't exit. You know, there was no exodus plan. I'm just glad that we weathered it out, and I've maintained those relationships. Whether they've retired or not, or agents that may have moved on, I just embellish and love the fact that we're still, you know, working together.
Is there something that, if you had to say one thing or maybe one or two things, the biggest difference in selling real estate in the Bronx in 2026 as opposed to, I guess you started when, like 1996?
Oh, early, yes, 93, 90.
When you got your license, right?
Yeah, and then, I worked for Dad. I was non-licensed when I worked for my dad, but I didn't sell houses. I worked for him.
We're going to stay.
Yeah, we're going to stay in the, well, correct. I mean, I did his books, and, you know, I was 19, and I cleaned ashtrays when smoking was allowed in the office. But
what's the biggest difference? Yeah, so what's the difference between 1996 selling in the Bronx between now, 2026?
I'm going to take a quote from my dad. We've come a long way in real estate, and I'm really, really happy where we are right now as opposed to the early days. And there's a reason for that. We have boards. Right? We have laws. We have regulations. We have my dad, I did a showcast with my dad, which I'm going to try to get for you. And he said it right. He said, you know, we have the opportunities now to use technology to our advantage. What is the advantage? I mean, we didn't have these advantages before. We would look through books and we would go to like almost a library, right?
Yeah.
Now everything is at our fingertips, right?
The Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh.
That was it.
We had it.
Yeah.
Every month, a new book came in.
Yep.
Right? Or if you didn't get it, you go to your neighbor's house because he had all of them, right?
And you had to make sure you had the most up-to-date year.
100%.
My dad every year would get the newest one.
That's right.
And that was our...
Everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we would share books. I mean, we'd run to neighbors' houses because we'd have to photocopy them, right?
Yeah.
We had a photocopy and bring them home.
Yep.
So...
And you had to run down to the library to photocopy.
100%.
It wasn't just readily available.
Oh, no. You had to wait on the line and have tons of books on you to get home.
Yeah.
So, much different time. But I will say that I do absolutely believe that with technology right now. It's just so seamless, and it's a lot easier to sort of navigate through real estate transactions and buying and selling right now. So the early years were great. It just took a lot longer. You know, it was a lot different. I enjoyed it, but I think now there's just it's a lot quicker to work a transaction.
So what I'm hearing from you is that the advancement of technology has made the transactions a lot more seamless.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember having to send fax.
Right.
And waiting for a fax to come in
and if your
with
offer was
a memo,
accepted.
if your offer was accepted. So you send out a fax with the offer, and then you'd have to wait to get the fax back.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there waiting.
And then not use your cell phone, but press and call and go, your offer was accepted.
Exactly.
Or it wasn't. You need to come up a little bit and then send another fax.
Yep. How about the MLS? How we would get a book that was sent once a month
No one knows
to the
about that.
office.
That's correct.
You'd get the MLS book.
Different color, blue, yellow, red.
And if you wanted to show a house, you had to go pick up the keys from the realtor's office.
Correct.
99% of the time, you were driving your client in your car.
That's correct.
And you had to go pick up the keys from that office, go show the house, go bring the keys back,
Perfect.
sign in, sign out.
Perfect example. Right. So it just goes to show you how just the entire protocol would be to show a house. Oh, you just reminded me about the book?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
When I started, right, like, so my first license was 2005. My brother, Dan, was my broker of record for 2 years. And, of course, you go for the 2 years, and then at that point, you can apply to become a broker,
Right.
your own. And the reason why I did that was because my brother wanted to be an attorney.
Right.
And my dad didn't want the liability of me doing something stupid and messing up his law license as the broker of record.
Got it.
Same to your dad. Like my dad, make your mistakes. Do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to take risk.
Yes.
But try to make them calculated. So I got my broker's license, and then at that point, I hung my shingle right on Sedgwick and 238th Street. SMP Realty Group Corp. I named it after myself, right? And I was so excited to get my own brokerage. I was 27 years old.
Fantastic.
And that feeling of now being the steward of your own dreams. And my dad would always say, like, being in real estate is amazing because you can make as much money as a lawyer or a doctor without having to pay for all their school.
Yes. Very true. Very true. And I learned that at a very early age as well. Like, I thought about it. Like, if I went to law school, then you start weighing things out. It's still a little bit of a dream of mine, but I have to tell you, I love what I do now. So
you know what makes me? There's more things there's so many things that we have in common. But what you just said right there, like I thought about too. Like when I'm dealing with transactions and the lawyers are dragging their feet or whatever, I'm like, listen, I can go to law school and I could do this.
Yes.
Like what? But then I'm like, wait, I'm not going to law school.
No.
Like,
yeah.
So my dad would always say, like, just make sure that you can control as many parts of the deal as possible.
Yes.
And the most important thing that he taught me when it came to attorneys was to be able to reach them and communicate to them after hours, weekends. And this is not to abuse the attorneys.
No.
But when you need advice or you need to get a memo out or you need to get a contract out, like if I call you, Vinny, and I'm like, hey, you're my attorney. Listen, I got to get this memo out because I got 5 other offers behind it. I got to get them to sign right away.
That's right.
As opposed to, I'll get to it when I can. Like controlling the mortgage aspect of it.
Yes.
Like they think that a lot of people think that we just open doors. But we're orchestrating the entire transaction from the loan origination to the underwriting of the loan to the appraisal to the clear to close through the inspector.
The walkthrough.
The walkthrough.
Oh gosh.
Like so, kudos to your dad and my dad for putting us in a position to succeed because I get a lot of agents that come in now and I'm the productivity coach in the office and they don't have that experience.
No.
So like me, and you can appreciate this, but my friends used to joke with me that like I was like Joe Pesci in The Super. I was a little kid that my dad would bring around to collect the rents.
Oh, right.
Like so, my dad owned a building right on Hoffman, right off of Arthur Avenue.
Sure.
And I would go there once a month, and we'd go there, and I would be with him, and he would knock on the door. He'd pick up the rent. The lady would give him whatever a bakery dish or whatever it was. But like I was like literally the guy like getting like my father brought me around doing all that stuff.
That's
so.
right.
What he taught me about dealing with tenants was that you have to have a relationship with the tenants for a multitude of reasons. But number one, you have to provide the service that this is their home and provide it so that way they could enjoy it. And number two, if there ever is any problems, they're going to call you before they call the city.
That's right. That's right. Correct.
So like those lessons, like you can't put that on a book. You can't put that. It's only the experience that
It
comes
really
with it.
is. And there's so much you can learn in books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whether you go to law school or mortgage, it's good relationships, right? You mentioned attorneys, so important, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's so important to keep and network, which we'll get to, which is to me very important,
Yep.
right? But having that important quality of maintaining those relationships, especially with attorneys and whatever, it's just going to make in my opinion, the transaction move a little bit more smoothly. May not, but at least you can get more of a grip on it and hopefully move it along.
Yep. So you are. So you had mentioned earlier you're going to the HGAR dinner.
Yes.
I noticed something about you, right? There's certain things that I noticed about you. Number one, you always seem to be in the events. Yeah, you always seem to be networking. And would you consider that to be a part of your business strategy?
I think coming out of the pandemic, I was always coming from the music industry, I come from networking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very big part of it, working with young artists and constantly working. So that was something that residualized with me. And then once you were in real estate, the networking part of it wasn't as big as it used to be. So my dad was always a proponent of making sure you take the attorneys out to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Dad? That was one of the things he taught me. Always take them out to lunch. Keep yourself very close to everyone. Yeah. And this is even before, email and even just, social media. After the pandemic, and I think just people had the freedom of getting out of their houses after 2 years was like just an incredible event. And I think that's when the networking started really picking up. People wanted to see other people.
For you personally?
For me personally, and I noticed with other people,
Mm-hmm.
they could not wait just to go to a diner or to just meet for a drink at a bar or just kind of, because we came out of very scary times. And I think the networking end of things with social media took a very big leap. And I think it took a good leap in a very good direction, whether it was a golf outing, was it for, and I'm a very big proponent of charity work. Mm-hmm. We do like 6 or 7 charities a year. You name it, we do it. And our proceeds of my commissions go towards a lot of charity. So for me, the networking was so important, collaborating with like-minded people or people who wanted to be like-minded, young, to get into the industry. And I was just open-armed with that. So aside from HGAR events or other events, whether it be, raising money or whatever, it's so important. And I'm not saying to attend all of them, but if you could, with a bright mind, open yourself up to that. Because a lot of people don't like to network. They just feel, hesitant.
Yeah.
I cattle them in, right? Come on in. Let's go together.
Yeah.
This may be a good opportunity of maybe meeting other attorneys or maybe perhaps another mortgage person or just to open yourself up. And it works. And you never know. And it works. It works.
Do you find that the networking events that you do, whether they're in the evening or on the weekends or whatever it may be, that it makes business run more smoothly?
Yes. I think it's been a bit of, it caught fire with quite a few of my associate brokers. We have a pretty big office. So I've noticed that most of our associate brokers have also taken the leap of faith to attend networking or create their own networking. And that's helped collaborate even within our office. So one of our associate brokers, like yourself, you're doing the podcast, you invite them. It's an opportunity to, kind of like get more experience with, other eventful people.
Of course, yeah.
And I think it's a big, it's a big thing in our industry. So I certainly love it,
What do you see right now in the Bronx real estate market? Like what that some people outside the Bronx real estate market necessarily wouldn't see?
There are so many projects going on in the Bronx right now. So, born and raised in the Bronx, I've watched it's unimaginable what's going on. I mean, we have a new MTA train, Metro North station going in. We have 4 stops going in. which
For
has finally been
for
approved.
people who don't know about that, where is that going to be?
So, okay, so some of the known areas right now is the Morris Park section of the Bronx, which is right at the end of Stillwell Avenue. You have one in near Co-op City.
Mm-hmm.
You have one in Soundview. And those are so important. And if you notice, they've had the ferry services installed, which has been fabulous for the Soundview area.
Mm-hmm.
But this would really help our industry, especially for those that own properties close to a train station, getting into Manhattan within a certain period of time. And I think that's an incredible event that's going on. You also have housing, which is finally getting approved. There's a lot of new housing in the Bronx areas that are popping up as well. I would hate to say to be overbuilt, because I am a proponent of green space and having some clear air. But at the end of the day, we are in a housing crisis, and we unfortunately, some of these areas that may be underdeveloped certainly are getting developed, like 161st and certain places in the hub. And it's a beautiful sight to see. I was in Manhattan the other day, driving over the 3rd Avenue Bridge. It's gorgeous.
He doesn't even recognize it.
3rd Avenue, it's unbelievable.
When you're coming up from Manhattan and you look over to the left and you look over to the right and you see these monstrous projects over there.
It was Antiqueville. That if you remember, it was just an underdeveloped area. It's on the waterfront.
All warehouse,
gorgeous,
industrial,
gorgeous,
and like that area, Hunts Point specifically.
Yes,
the HBO show made it very popular of what it was.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go into it on the podcast.
But
now to see what's there, that same exact area, to see
fantastic.
that, it's a beautiful thing. And I think that it's also so responsible development. I think is something that's very important. I think, and again, this is not a political show by any means, but I think that there has to be a balance between the laws that are getting passed in the city council and all the way from the governor's mansion all the way down to the city council seats. There has to be some sort of balance that they have to understand that there has to be a relationship with the developers, and you can't shove down the developers' throats all of these over regulations because they're just going to stop building there.
I agree. You're touching on a very it becomes a very sore topic with a lot of realtors and even homeowners.
Yeah.
And I agree. There has to be, you said it perfectly, just having the perfect balance and really understanding the area. Just the traffic enforcement, just bridges and, just the amount of parking, right? We're just so limited. So there has to be a responsibility, right? And I agree with you. The balance is so important. And I think that some developers should understand that just some areas just cannot work. Maybe cannot work. Some can, but respectfully, I agree with you,
That's why I think that community boards are so important. And the fact that the community boards have a say in what happens, because obviously if you look at the hierarchy, right, like you got to first go to the community board, and then from the community board, you then have to go to the Department of Buildings, and then you have to deal with the city council, and you have to deal with all these people. But if you can orchestrate and you can go to those community boards and you could explain to them that, hey, listen, I'm a developer, but what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to do this. I'm looking to give back to the community, but also there has to be a profit.
Correct.
Why, like, if you're going to take the risk and you're going to put up the money, or you're going to put up whatever the case may be, these developers were putting up 200, 300, 400 units, like they're taking a huge risk, and they get a bad rap, I feel like, because people look at what they are now, but you don't understand where they started and their first project and their second project and their third project and how they got to this point.
That's right. That's right.
And I feel like those community boards are extremely important.
Yeah.
To keep that landscape in certain communities.
I am a proponent of underdeveloped properties that may have been exposed to whatever, bankruptcy, perhaps, estate, probate, violations. If it could be turned around, and made into something and beautiful, I'm a proponent of it. If it's something that has not been, has been neglected for so many years, it should have an opportunity to give an opportunity to a renter or a homeowner, right? And that's what I am for. I'm for green space. I'm for parks. and recreation. I mean, these are very important things. Growing up, we had Shula Parkway.
Yep.
We had Pelham Parkway.
Yep.
These were great green spaces growing up, and it's all about the young people. Look, at the end of the day, we have to cherish the fact that the young people of today are going to be running this country, and just have to understand how important it is, to give them good instruction, give them good guidance,
set a good example,
and be respectful, right? And set that example. And that's when we talk about legacy. We had a short chat about legacy, and that's what it's all about.
Yep.
We do our best to hand the baton to those that could preserve and just, keep everything in line and be respectful. Really, at the end of the day, with all the messes in the world, right? We pray for peace. Peace. That's all I pray for.
What are buyers doing wrong in 2026?
Oh boy. So that's a great question. I love touching on the fact. That's a good question. I love touching on the fact that my client. You ready? My client is waiving the inspection. My client is waiving the inspection. If you want to lose your real estate license, I think that's how you do it, right?
You advise your client to.
There is no way, that I would represent someone about waiving the inspection.
Unless it's a developer, investor.
Correct.
We're talking about your typical...
my typical homeowner.
Yes, okay.
Or first-time home buyer.
There you go.
Okay, let's categorize it that.
Yeah.
So there's just no way. And, we had our bidding wars years ago, but I always love the fact that they're waiving the inspection. And, that's something very hard for me to swallow. And I agree with you. A lot of my developers, because we do quite a bit of acquisition work, I could understand waiving, our zone, R8, what have you. But for anyone buying a co-op or buying a condo, for a small fee of inspection, get it inspected.
That
get
peace of mind.
Of course. And I've sold quite a bit of new construction homes, Long Island and Westchester County. And because it's a new construction home, it's always nice to get a second set of eyes,
of course,
to look through everything, right? So that's one of the things that I would touch on, and that always bothered me.
I think that I tell buyers to be wary of, number one, waiving the inspection, right? I do agree with that. But what the caveat to that is I say, hey, you know what? We're going to do an inspection for informational purposes only.
Right.
And the way I explain it to the buyers is I'm like, hey, look, here's the deal. Inspections are really used between agents to be able to negotiate in case something's wrong, number one. Right. All you're doing by saying for informational purposes only is by saying that you're not going to come back and lower the price. But you didn't sign a contract because New York, we have the blessing of it being a lawyer-first state.
Yeah, we're not a title
so
state.
If something really comes bad with the inspection, listen, you just can't negotiate the price, or you still could. It doesn't really matter. But you're telling the agent that we're not going to negotiate the price, and we just want to know what you're getting yourself into.
Correct. I understand. Yeah, and that seems to be, like you say, the caveat.
Yeah.
There were other things in our industry that simply changed. The disclosure acts have certainly played a big part of it, and I appreciate most of them in terms of who we acknowledge as buyer and seller. I understand. We have the buyer's agency that's touched down with us a few years, which seems to be a great topic to touch. I think we could do a podcast just on that.
We probably could.
I'll come back for that one.
I'm a huge advocate of that, though.
Well, I am
when
too.
it first happened,
Yes.
I think people are scared of change, and they don't want the change.
Right.
But now, we're almost 2 years into that.
That's correct.
I love it because I love the transparency.
The transparency, it's been in Connecticut for quite some time. I mean, it's been in a lot of states for a longer time. And it's an adjustment like everything else, right? And it's complete transparency amongst buyer, broker, and seller broker.
For sure.
And I think it facilitates the deal a little bit better. You have to know how to present it.
Of course.
And that's what it comes down to.
But that comes down to training.
Absolutely.
As the broker of record, it's their job to train your agents on how do you present this. And
say we'll do a training session on that. We could do a training session.
And also, like, the understanding what each thing means and, like, the exclusive right to represent. Or are we going to do and I call them touring agreements now.
Right.
Which is basically a non-exclusive. Like, hey, I'm going to show you 123 Main Street and 234 Main Street.
Correct.
And if you want to buy one of those, this is my fee. If not, you're welcome to go out and work with other people.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's you could take a 1 week exclusive, you could take a 1 day exclusive, or you
Exactly.
could take a touring tour, like you said.
Exactly.
I think that's fantastic.
I love
actually.
the flexibility of it.
Yeah.
What I also love about it is you know who is looking out for your fiduciary responsibility.
That's right.
You know who's got your best interest at heart.
That's correct.
I personally don't like doing dual agency agreements
Yes.
because, and I just had this on a listing, right? So I'm repping the seller and the buyer presents an offer. He's like, okay, you could represent me too. I said, listen, buddy, first of all, I have to ask my seller permission for that, even if I wanted to do that.
Correct.
So what we're gonna do is you're gonna act as an unrepresented buyer because I don't want to do that. I want my confidentiality with the seller because if the seller's already disclosed to me certain things like, hey, you know what? Let's list it at X, but I'll take Y.
Right.
And I know that. So now if I'm working for both of you, I already lost that confidentiality.
The fiduciary, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes.
you know, like I don't like the dual agency,
Yes.
but, you know.
It's dual agency was certainly a big proponent in the early days.
Oh, yeah,
you know that
for
was
sure.
You know, and I guess because it was business was certainly very hands on. So the buyer and the seller kind of met each other.
Yep.
They made arrangements.
Yep.
When you were moving, it was a little different.
Yeah.
And business has picked up quite a bit, but. I agree with you. Look, dual agency is legal as long as you disclose.
Yes.
But it's so important to make sure that you carry those fiduciary relationships very strongly and very honestly.
Exactly. What about sellers? What are sellers doing wrong?
So that's a great question. Sellers, and I'm gonna get right to it. So I think sellers have a very interesting habit of monitoring their house on Zillow and certain websites to see exactly what their house is worth.
Oh, so in other words, you're saying going on using those third-party websites to determine the value of that home.
I do. I just think that they just see a number and they don't see the algorithms behind it. And that Zillow is a constant change. It constantly changes. So number one, I think there's a very strong passion for sellers, or even for myself, to just, if you're in Long Island, what are houses going for? And you kind of see the median of what's going on. And I'm not debunking Zillow, and I'm not debunking them. I just think that there's a habit of looking at websites or to sort of get a basic value. I'm a proponent of, again, an experienced realtor to sit down with you and go over the closed sales, active sales, median sales. One of the biggest hardships I see in the Bronx right now is that clients are comparing their houses to what their tax record is.
Oh, my Lord.
So let's touch on that. So what they'll see is that I'm paying taxes on a two-family, so therefore my house is a two-family, and my house is being valued as a two-family. Follow?
I'm following. Yeah.
So
I'm already there.
So you get it. When in fact the house is a one-family, okay, you should have been paying taxes as a one and should be compared and assessed tax-wise as a two and appraised as a one. Everything appraised as a one. So this seems to be a very big problem. And this goes back to many administrations prior to us who have assessed houses for 3-family and 4-family, and they're only 2 or 3. I mean, they've mixed it up so much. And, shame on that, right? But it takes a good realtor to dig deep and say, hey, I ran the certificate of occupancy on your house, and you live in a 1-family, but I'm paying taxes as a 2. And that's the source of a very good realtor, a seasoned realtor.
Yeah.
And that's going to play in part of your Zillow review. Well, I'm looking at a 2-family. It's being assessed as a 2. So you have to put your trust in a very good realtor to give you honest value. And if you don't, certainly get a third-party appraiser to appraise it and give their value. And I've done that often. So going back to the question, hey, if you question it, it may be a good opportunity to have a licensed professional or an appraiser come and appraise it for the estate. So therefore you have no disregard for anyone in the family. So that I think is super, super important. And I think sellers should be mindful, and I've done this on a few deals where they can actually get a pre-inspection on their house. I don't know if you've ever touched on that yourself. And a pre-inspection is quite interesting.
Love it.
I've done it on quite a few, and I've offered it, and they've taken my advice. And they realize, oh my goodness, I didn't realize they needed GFIs in the bathroom, or I needed, to upgrade the electric.
Yep.
And I think it's very resourceful for both the agent collaborating with the seller to have that done prior to. And I've been very successful with that.
Yep.
And I think it's resourceful because when you do sell the house, you've kind of gone through the laundry list of things that needed to be done before you can sell.
Yep.
And if it hasn't been paid, you're not caught renegotiating against yourself. So it's important for sellers to really have that opportunity of kind of knowing some of the red flags, right?
I call it bulletproofing the transaction.
Yes.
The pre-inspection is vital. I'm almost doing it on all my deals now because you now bulletproof. So that way when people are presenting offers, so boom, you do the pre-inspection. Now you price it accordingly. Hey, are you going to fix this? Are you not going to fix this? We understand that. Okay, cool. Now, when people are presenting offers, when they come to the open house, whatever the case may be, hey, just so you know, here's our pre-inspection report. We're not negotiating any of this stuff, and we've priced it accordingly.
There you go.
Plus, if you turn around and you see something in the pre-inspection, let's just say it's a random whatever, fix a bathroom vanity, yada, yada, yada. Okay, cool. You know what? Let's fix it ourselves. Let me recommend the contractor that can come in and do it because it's going to cost you half the price that their realtor is going to value that it's going to cost on the back end.
Correct.
So you're bulletproofing it and you're telling the seller, hey, listen, I know what I'm doing here and I'm trying to protect your number.
We got to do more deals together.
Yeah, we do.
This is but because we lie on the same grounds, and I think it's so important, right? Penny wise, dollar foolish, and I think that sellers really need to know this. And, I've come across quite a few deals that I've done where they've realized, wow, I had radon in the basement all these years. Or I've had a lead main that I didn't know about.
Or I've had asbestos.
I've had asbestos, didn't know about it.
I just thought that was my,
Correct. So they do find harmful or perhaps troublesome things in the house that they kind of lived there for many years or inherited from their parents that they didn't know about.
Exactly. I want to touch on the tax value aspect. What I like to point out to sellers is I like to say, hey, look, you're going to have multiple different values that you could look at. Number one is the taxable value, the assessed value. Then you have the appraised value. But the most important is the market value.
Correct.
These numbers are not the same.
No.
So when we're talking about listing your home, the way I like to explain it is I like to say, hey, look, the listing price is not the sales price. It's the invitation price. It's almost like if you're throwing a party and you say, hey, do you want more people there or less people there?
Correct.
If you want more people there, you're gonna invite and you're gonna make the invitation more attractive, but you're gonna price it lower.
It's actually an offer. If you think about it, they're putting out an offer.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, so the listing agent is putting out an offer to a potential buyer who can offer the same or less.
Yep.
So it's offer to offer.
Exactly.
Really, if you think about it.
So I love that you touched on that because that's super important. And I'm going to just kind of pull the thread a little bit more, but I cannot stand, and I'm going to vent a little bit here, how the property taxes, they tax somebody on a 2-3 family, but they're only a single family, and they had no idea. And then going through the bureaucracies of trying to get that money back, which is never going to happen.
It will never happen.
But they're taxed on a 2-family. I had a client that was taxed on a 2-family for the past 30 years, just sold their house. Title came back after, being in the transaction for 45 days. Title came back. No, it's a single family. What are you talking about?
Yes.
They were baffled.
Correct.
And, I wasn't necessarily involved in the transaction. It was another agent or whatever. But they came to me, and I'm just like, listen.
Add up 40 years, right?
Yeah, they overpaid for 40 years.
Could be $50,000, $60,000, $70,000.
Never mind the price. Never mind the fact of the price. Like it was valued at X. Call it whatever. I don't know.
Oh, right.
And now it's only a single family. Buyer's like, listen, I'm not paying for that.
Well, again, that's the problem. So now you're getting appraised as a 1-family when it should have, when you thought you were walking into a 3-family.
Yes.
So that has been a very big struggle for years.
And if they're not talking to realtors like us before putting it on the market.
Yes. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough,
Yeah.
So
it's like walking into a courtroom without a lawyer. You could represent yourself.
Absolutely.
But
no. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and and this comes down to transparency again.
Yeah.
So let's, be clear. It's so important,
What is it really like to survive as an entrepreneur in the Bronx today?
Right now, as an entrepreneur, to start out as an entrepreneur or to be an entrepreneur?
To be an entrepreneur.
I think that
because you started a long time ago. So what's the hardest part about you being an entrepreneur in the Bronx today?
Right now?
Yeah.
So being an entrepreneur, you certainly have to rely on other people, like-minded, professional, to work with you. Mm-hmm. And I think for those that, whatever it is, whether you're in the restaurant business or, and I'm not trying to get off key, but any business, you need the right set of people to work with you, like-minded or have that same sort of angst and sort of, energy. Mm-hmm. And there is a lack of energy on a lot of levels. I think, it's hard to find those, working sort of realtors or even the restaurant business to have that energy. So I think it's important for the guys like us to maintain that energy and bring that energy to the table. So that's the difficulty. You have to be at a high level energy like I do. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Red Bull guy at all, but I just keep myself very positive, and most certainly try to bring that energy to the table. And when you bring the energy to the table, it does spread sometimes like wildfire. And that's when you invigorate other agents or other brokers to say, look, let's work together. So that's the struggle. Mm-hmm. The struggle for me is to just keep that energy up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up with the young guys here. For all you young guys out there, it's hard, but hey, it's only a number, right?
If you could give one rule for longevity in Bronx real estate, what would it be?
Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to go back to what we discussed. I think longevity comes with what we mentioned, that algorithm, and I think it's so important to keep that high level of integrity. And I go back to that because that plays a big part in a lot of things. And I think that goes farther, and in a way where you're working with your bankers and your attorneys. So keeping that very close to you and to your agents, you'll go a long way. Your way of doing work and how you how you work with people is what I want to say. Is so important. I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's
vital.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is, and
it's everything.
Yeah, your demeanor and the way you are. It's so important because people want to work with you. They want to work with someone like that. You
know what I hear when I hear you say that? I
Your
hear
character,
the word,
right?
I hear reputation.
That's the word. Sorry.
I hear reputation.
Senior moment. your reputation.
My father used to tell me that your reputation shows up in a room well before you do.
That's right.
And you have to be willing to take some lumps and not always be out for the dollar and do what's best for the client. And even if it means you might not close on this deal, you might take less of a commission, you might do this, you might do that. But if you maintain that reputation,
yes.
And when you're dealing with other brokers in the borough, such as yourself or other agents that may not, they know your name and they're like, you know what? I could deal with Steve. I could deal with Vinny. We could have a conversation, and it's not going to be like so pretentious.
That's correct. You nailed it. It's reputation, and that's so important.
All right, I want to touch on a couple other things that are not necessarily business related, but I want to talk Arthur Avenue.
Oh, do you?
I want to talk. Yeah. You get
one of my favorite places.
Yeah. All right. So you get
love to visit.
You get 3 spots.
Got it.
First, you have to go. The first spot, I want you to tell me where you're going for your appetizer. Then I want you to tell me where you're going for your main dish, and then where you're going for dessert.
Oh boy, you put me. I love everyone on Arthur Avenue, and
nobody's gonna be mad.
I know.
It's all right.
Appetizers. So, first of all, I have to go. My go-to. Well, if it's not Dave at the market, because Dave is fantastic. He does everything, right? He's a magician. So if you don't know Dave, you should know Dave at the market, right? And I love my friends at Amelia's. Nick, he's just the greatest. So shout out to Nick over at Amelia's restaurant. My uncle Roberto from Zero Otto Nove and Roberto's. Guys, you gotta bring your bib because that's where you go for your pizza. And your main, so just shout out to those guys. I just think the food for dessert, oh gosh, everything's so good.
Really put you on the spot here.
This is incredible. So, gosh, dessert. I'm gonna say my mother-in-law and my mom. I love the way they bake. I'm gonna keep it at that.
There you go.
Okay, is that okay?
Go. That's perfect.
Okay,
that's perfect. All right, so now let's talk about cars. You seem to have a passion for cars. Where did that come from?
Oh boy, very young age. Loved my Matchbox cars growing up. Was always into always into racing. Always, whether it was small builds or just, bike racing and whatever. So I had a huge Matchbox collection growing up, and always had an incredible passion for cars, and just enjoyed driving cars, and decided to start my own Cars and Coffee. Was always loved going to car shows, even as a kid. But for those that went to Glen Island or to Orchard Beach, some of the greatest cars you'll ever see from everywhere, Connecticut, Long Island, just amazing. So after the pandemic, a lot of that passion had fizzled out, and I started the Cars and Coffee just around that time. And it picked up really well, and just some of the greatest people you could meet, and having passion for cars, and just an amazing group of people. So we started that group, and it's continued. I think we're up to about 1,000 followers, which is great.
Nice.
And it's all within the boroughs. And
is that on Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, so it's on Facebook.
Give it a plug. Tell people where to find
Cars
it.
and Coffee, Orchard Beach, Car Meet. And we collaborate with the boys up in Yonkers. Chuck Zito, of course, does a great job. And we, Connecticut, actually, and certain parts of Long Island. And it's just fantastic. And you just meet some of the greatest people on earth. And just such a great passion for cars. And my son, who is also very passionate with cars, we have quite a few that we work on. And I enjoy it. I mean, it's just a great time. What can I tell you? It's something that I look forward to on the weekend sometimes.
Yeah. I see how it lights you up.
It does.
That's amazing.
It does.
It's good. I
wish my golf game was like that. Actually, it's not that good. But
so being from the Bronx, I know that you are a Yankee fan.
Tremendous Yankee fan.
You and me both.
Tremendous.
Right. What is your most
memorable moment?
Memorable moment live. I want live memorable moment.
1996. Okay, I had the Game 7. Okay, one of the most. I had the worst seat in the house. I mean, I was probably
under the light.
Left field. So there's a moment in 1996 where they're throwing beach balls throughout the stadium, and we're down to the last out, and I hit the beach ball, and it goes onto the field. You probably won't know, but I hit it in 1996, and it went so far that it went onto the field, and they had to stop the game to get the ball off the field. And I said, "Oh no, this is where I think this is where the luck may just be over." And if you remember correctly, it was a fly ball to third base, and the third out, obviously, Charlie Hayes.
Yep.
Charlie Hayes makes the catch, and it's like the weight of the world just came off your back. And I actually witnessed the first World Series. Like, it was just the most, and besides in the 70s when I was a kid, and when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Yep.
But to be there, I mean, the rafters were just bouncing. And I didn't sleep that night. It just went 24 hours. The Bronx was just rocking. And just the most incredible experience of my life.
Yep.
So I'll take that to the grave.
Mine is Jim Liritz.
Oh, the Jim Liritz home run.
Oh, excuse me. Not the Jim, because Jim Liritz was in Atlanta. Aaron Boone.
Oh, when
Aaron Boone home run. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, that you just gave me the chills.
Yeah, I was live at that game with my boy, and shout out to Brendan. You know about this third baseline.
Went over your head.
Aaron Boone. So we're on the third baseline. Yeah. So it goes. The stadium was. We were losing that game. We were down like 5-0.
We were down.
And Matsui.
Knuckleballer. I think he was the.
What the hell is his name?
Yeah, Knuckleballer.
Whatever his name is.
Yes.
So we were down. Jorge Posada had a big hit. Matsui had a big hit. And then Aaron Boone is there. And Aaron Boone hits that shot.
He was the last person you ever thought it would hit the home run. I sat in my house and watched that, and I was like, We're going.
Yeah, we didn't win the series that year.
No, we didn't.
But that moment,
No, that was
that moment,
that's electrifying.
Yeah.
The Yankees just
yeah.
so passionate about it.
Yeah. I feel like the new stadium is very corporate now.
Yeah, it
and
is.
So, like, it is what it is.
It is
But
what
I
it
had
is.
my moments there. I've been thrown out of the old stadium. I've been thrown out of the new stadium.
Okay.
The old stadium, I used to like the status the way it was because they would take your ticket and they would rip it up, and that was your warning.
That's right.
If
Right. I remember that. That's right. That's right. No warnings
Then
anymore.
let me see your ticket.
Correct.
And it was ripped. I'm like, all right, that's it. You're out of here.
He's right. I remember that. I do remember that. I still kept all my old tickets. Everything's emailed now.
Yeah.
I have all my old tickets.
So part of the theme of this show is it's brick by brick. It's building things and building legacies. We talked business. Now I want to get back to legacy.
Okay.
When you hear the word legacy, what does that mean to you?
So, I take legacy very seriously, and I think that for any person or someone like myself, it's very important to leave a legacy and to take responsibility of yourself. And I would want to leave a legacy, right? I'm not famous, but I think intrinsically, as a person, you have a responsibility, right? And that responsibility is to, be an aid to anyone or to somehow guide anyone, right? As a parent, as a friend. And I think that's how you build, you say brick by brick, your legacy. Mm-hmm. So no stone unturned. Mm-hmm. So whether it's charity work, which is great, but I will say this, I think it's like one person at a time. So if you can change, I don't want to use the word change. That's probably not a good word. But if you could be
influential?
Yes. In one person's life, that one person will change the next person. And that's just, to me, where the strength is. And I think that's how you create legacy. It's like a Mother Teresa point, right? That's how Mother Teresa was. Mm-hmm. She couldn't change the world, right? But she could do it one person at a time. And I think it goes in business, right? Work with one realtor at a time, work with one agent. And I take high responsibility for that. So, and how you perceive yourself and how you love yourself, right? I don't want to get too deep, but you got to love yourself, right? And if you really take time to build yourself and love yourself, you're going to really shed it to everyone else. And I think that's the most important. And believe me, it took me a long time. This doesn't happen. You have to make mistakes. And those mistakes go a long way. And you have to make those mistakes. And it's never too late. But I think once you achieve that, and I've become more of a God-fearing person, and you get rid of some vices and you get rid of certain things. See, it's true when you knock things over. you grow stronger as a person, right? And you surround yourself with people that could support you, right? So that's legacy to me, and taking the responsibility of yourself to help others,
What do you want people to say about Vincent Buccieri after you're gone?
Oh, God. I just want them to know that I will never leave you. Does that make any sense? I just feel that, and I'm not scared of dying. Isn't that crazy? I don't have any fear at all, because I know we were just not born with expiration dates, and I'm not trying to be too deep. I think when you're fulfilled in your life and you've helped people, and I'm not very fearful of that, because when you hold Christ so dear and when you hold God so dear, it's so empowering and so incredible, right? So I'm not fearful of that, but I just want everyone to know that I want to be their angel. I want to be their protector. So if anything were to ever happen, I just want them to know, I'll be around, not to haunt you, but I'll be there to protect you. And that's what I really want everyone, or my family, or even my friends and whomever, even the people that don't like me, I'm going to protect you. Does that make sense?
That was beautiful.
Does that make sense?
That was beautiful.
Okay. No, I really mean it. I do.
I could tell.
Nobody's perfect, right? But, we get engravements in life, right? It's put on your grave. Mm-hmm. But, there's a sense of showering people after your afterlife, and I do believe that, and I do believe that I will be that person. You know.
Now you're a father, correct?
Another God-fearing man.
Yep. How many
Incredible.
kids do you have?
2.
You have 2. What would you like for them to know about you that they may not know about you?
Wow, it's like Johnny Carson. What do they know about me? I think my kids know everything about me. That's how transparent I am.
What would be one lesson that you want them to know?
I think that some of the lessons that they should know is that they should work hard, and just from they both work very hard, and they're both very respectful. Like we mentioned, make mistakes and build yourself, but always pursue your passion in whatever you do. If you love what you do in life, that's self-fulfilling for me. I did my job. I want you to be happy, right? So, I think, unfortunately, we have a lot of people out there that just enforce way too much. I could advise, right? I could say, "Wait, this may work for you and may not," but unfortunately, we're forced into a corner. You have to be a podiatrist. I don't want to look at feet all day long, right? I don't want to do that, Dad. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So my doctor, I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a great story. So when my son was born, we went for his checkup, and doctor turned to him and said, he was about 5 years old or so, and he said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he said, "I want to be a monster truck driver and a race car driver." And I looked away, and I went like this, and he said, "Dad, what's the matter?" And I said, "Nothing." He said, "Well, you seem pretty upset by that." And I said, No, I'm okay with it." And he said, "I want to be a race car driver, a monster truck driver. You think I want to do this?" And it was a bit of an eye opener because it just kind of laid the land to say, hey, follow your passion, right?
Yep.
And it was a wake up moment for me as a dad. And we should all wake up to the fact that, hey, follow your dreams, whatever it may be. And look, is it real? And I think that's so important, and you learn as a dad, right? We're all learning.
Yep.
I'm still learning.
All right. So this is your camera right here. I'd like you to tell people how to get in touch with you.
Okay.
And give them any last parting words of Vincent Buccieri.
Okay. So Vince Buccieri, broker owner of Today Realty Corp, located in the Bronx at 1934 Williamsbridge Road. We do have an office on Tremont, 3548 East Tremont Avenue, and we're up in Purchase, New York. We're in Westchester County, and we handle all the 5 boroughs in Westchester. I can be reached on my email if you want to email me at vincetodayrealty@aol.com. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here. I cannot believe I'm here with a tuxedo on, but I want to thank you for my first podcast.
Yeah.
And I just want everyone to know that on behalf of my office and my family and all my friends, I want to thank Stephen for this beautiful opportunity to be on your show. And thank you very much. And God bless you all, and I appreciate you all very much. And I thank everyone for the business.
Yeah. One thing that I learned today, Vinny, is that you never know you never know the similarities that you're going to have with somebody. Just sitting here, we've been in touch so many different times.
Oh, so much.
But every time I do this podcast and somebody sits there, there's a reason that they're sitting there. And some sort of intersection of our lives have met, right? Like I was a PR major, Bronx real estate, second, third generation real estate, broker owner, love Arthur Avenue, Emilio's. My dad used to take me to Emilio's all the time. Like all of these things. And just sitting here has been an absolute pleasure with you.
That.
And getting to know you more.
I appreciate that.
So thank you very much for being here. And hopefully this is the beginning of listen, you were in radio, you were in this, you were in that. Like this is the lane, and you could see I'm going full steam.
I love it.
I'd love to,
I'll re-collab
talk
with
about
you
more
anytime.
collaborations.
I'll wear less t-shirt and jeans, but I promise. But I promise you, and we'll do reservations. He has to pick what restaurant he wants to go to. Dinner on me and Claudio. Thanks, Claudio.
Speaking of Claudio, we are shooting as usual here in Kai Vision Studio. If you're looking to level up your audio, visual, entrepreneurial game, reach out to Claudio at Kai Visions, and that is at Kai Visions on Instagram. Not sure if he's got a Facebook up, but if you want to, you could reach out to me. Claudio has been such a blessing in my life, and I could not speak more positively about him.
Fantastic.
And not just from the state-of-the-art studio that we're sitting in, but just his advice and how much he's been willing to help grow my podcast and my broadcasting channel. So Claudio at Kai Visions, tell him that you heard about it from the Padernacht Podcast. Maybe he'll give you a discount. I don't know. Just some parting words. You can take the guy out of the Bronx, but you can never take the Bronx out of the guy.
Love it.
This has been another episode of the Padernacht Podcast, and I will see you guys next week.